Well, sorry about the technical hitch there, ladies and gentlemen. I was being pushed out. I think the Microsoft was getting fed up of me today anyway, but we're still here for our final session. It's been 8 months since our working world has been very different. More and more people wonder when they will return to their former lifestyle, or of course, if we ever will. To introduce us to Immune, and look through the window of the offices of the future, I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker, who joined Genesis Property team in 2019 as Vice President after previously working as a project and commercial manager, business development at Sequest in the United Arab Emirates. The weather's a little bit different than it is in the UAE today, but a big welcome. Good to see you again, my friend, Gavin Bonner.
Thank you very much, Colin. That's very nice of you. I'd also like to take the opportunity just to thank the host, ABSL, for putting on this event. I think during these times, it's very good that knowledge is getting out there and shared, more so in this pandemic when people are on lockdown or a bit restricted. So thank you very much again to our hosts. I'd just like to now share our screen so I can start a brief presentation into the Immune Building Standard. Okay, I'd just like to have a short introduction about Genesis Property. It just puts a little context into where Immune was developed from. So Genesis Property are property developers, but also property owners and landlords, and also they're facilities managers for the operations of their own portfolio. Genesis have over 20 years of experience in the real estate market in Romania. Sorry. Okay, so the principal developments are Novo Park, being based in the northern area of Bucharest in Pepera, and was one of the first office parks there, and also Westgate, which is based in the western district of Romania. Combined, they have over 150,000 meters squared of office space, which is occupied by international blue chip tenants. Also, Westgate has residential with some 800 units, apartments and studios for students and for short-term residency leasing. The parks are both supported with the usual retail, food and beverage, recreation, including gyms, and in Westgate, a swimming pool. Just waiting for, there we are. So what have we done during COVID? Well, in April, during the first wave when COVID hit, Genesis established a task force. This was around 25 different people from differing trade backgrounds, such as the medical field, architectural, engineering, technology, facilities management, and building occupiers themselves. And with an investment of about €1 million, we looked to see how we could address the current and the potential future pandemics and what effects they would have on real estate. This resulted in the innovation and the creation and development of the Immune Building Standard, and is setting out the principles of healthy by design in order to boost the resilience of our built environments. The Immune Building Standard has been very well received on the market and has global high-profile coverage from the major media streams, such as you can see, CNBC, Sky News, the Financial Times, New York Times, and The Guardian, just to name a few. It has attracted worldwide attention, covering from as far north as Canada, through the United States, into the UK and England, also being represented in the Middle East, Asia, and as far south as New Zealand. Now, let's put some context to the immune building standard. Okay, I think many have seen this important statistic that 90% of our time is spent within the built environment. Obviously, that's a very high percentage, but given the time that we spend at home and our working lives, it would seem rational to accept that percentage. We're an indoor generation, in many cases, even to the extent where we're trying to bring the outdoors indoors, which we agree is a good philosophy. However, at the essence, we are an indoor generation. Since the arrival of COVID, this has actually impacted and changing how we live, work, and also our social interactions, as can be seen with the comments now of digital presentation. So as we look forward, a lot of companies around the world, as we've correctly picked up on, are looking to see how they can bring their employees back to the offices. And we would like to add the extra thing, safely. So how do we prepare our buildings? Well, given the first wave, it seemed evident that with the exception of probably hospitals and medical clinics, none of the other buildings, commercial buildings or other real estate buildings, were really prepared for such a pandemic. So how do we get prepared? What are our challenges? Okay, we've looked at, firstly, redesign. Just a couple of examples, just to clarify. When we look at redesign, how do we circulate? What is the division and use of space? Are we using correct materials to make a healthy environment? We look to re-engineer. So again, just a few examples. What is our air quality like? What do we do in regards to filtration to prevent these viruses? What sort of touchless technologies can we introduce? And not forgetting IoT. So further than those design, we also believe that FM needs reorganization. Obviously, new measures have come up, whether they be new cleaning requirements, new cleaning techniques. An example, looking at UV, where it is safe to implement into the building for a better cleaning and a fight against the bacterial wave. We also need to look at the policies governing the regimes. Obviously, the well-known ones are social distancing and wearing of PPE, but these need to be incorporated into our FM facilities to ensure that they are carried out correctly. All with the goal to make our workplaces resilient. Now, not only to the current pandemic, but we need to gear up for future health challenges, so we're not caught out the same way that we were caught out with COVID. Okay, so to address their challenges, Genesis launched the Immune Building Standard, setting out the framework and to look at how buildings can be healthy by their design. We're aware that technologies exist and engineering exists within the medical field. So we look to be inspired by these and successfully adopt them into the commercial sector. Now that's to say we want the commercial sector to still feel and operate the way it does. We don't want all buildings to look like hospitals, but we do need to know that the same measures securing your health are working away in the background for these commercial developments. So our studies led to over 100+ measures covering what I'd previously mentioned, the design solutions, policy making, operational practices for immune system. We look at architectural, again, just a few notable examples where we're slightly different. We are looking at introducing immune isolation rooms. These are rooms that people can feel safe if they are detected with the possibility that they can rest, feel safe in a controlled environment while they make their arrangements to either visit a medical clinic or to self-isolate at home and prepare for the future. We also looked at immune stores. Again, first time round, we were caught a little bit. So these immune stores are to cover the needs should a pandemic arise in the future while maintaining good stocks such as PPE, but also screening, signage, etc. And then a very interesting one we're looking at doing is to have an immune digital twin of the building. This, as I mentioned, we want to introduce hospital type facilities to manage these threats, but we don't want them visible. So this immune digital twin is displaying what is going on in the background for the assurity of the occupants and the visitors of the building, so they can look at what air quality is, what water quality is, the occupancy of the building, and other important facts for them to enter and work in that building. We also know whatever we introduce on an architectural and engineering basis has to be maintained and operated correctly. So we also further added measures for these operational FM type practices. We split this into two categories: perpetual, which basically means that these processes are continued whether in a pandemic or out, just to provide a healthier building throughout all periods of time. And then we have our ready to activate, which is the precautionary measures when we are faced with times like now with COVID, that we have readily and available access for quick measures to be implemented to prevent further spreads of pandemic and to keep it under control. We are fully aware that the immune standard needs to be a cooperation and people need to collaborate together. We've listed down that we have property owners and developers in the development area. We have design architects, designers for design, science and technology by engineering, facilities management, and human resources looking to maintain and operating our buildings. But the idea is that these must all be collaborated with the one solid goal of health in mind. So moving on to the immune scoring matrix, we have tried to keep the matrix fairly straightforward. It covers all aspects, but we want it to be a user-friendly and operational method. So we have broken it down into measures that can be applied, the categories such as whether it is architecture or perpetual or ready for activation classification. We've added some questions to help guide the process on what needs to be looked at. We have then looked at attributing suitable points for the measures that have been undertaken. So it's a user-friendly system that we hope provides all the information you need to make your building healthier. We then go through into the assessment. This will be undertaken by an authorized immune building assessor. He goes through and evaluates your building, which results in the classifications on a percentage basis into 3 bands ready for award. These bands represent the 3-star band, which is strong, the 4-star branding, which is powerful, and the highest level, which is the top ranking 5-star resilient. Okay, so having undertaken the certification, what was the objectives? What are we trying to do? Well, obviously, the first thing is to certify the resilience of the built environment. As I mentioned earlier, we spend 90% of our time in the built environment, so it is nice to know what has been done and what recognition in the way of certification those environments are. We also obviously want to minimize the impact of such pandemics as COVID as we are currently in, but also other biological or toxicological threats. Obviously, what we're trying to put in place is for now, but also for the future, so we are ready for what's next to come. We're looking at making these mandatory. Even now in the US after the elections, I think there is the first inclination to start making health a mandatory requirement to fight COVID. And we hope this follows the principles of healthy by design. Obviously, having lived through our current situation, we need to learn the lessons. We need to be educated. We need to be prepared, and we need to be able to instruct what happens. And these are all tools for our facilities management. Now, although named lastly, but certainly not leastly, is the prime objective of this all. That is to protect us, protect the occupants, protect the visitor. This is what we are trying to establish, protection and let people feel safe within their environment. So in addition to that, we're looking at these buildings. At the moment, they can be used as a HR tool. Buildings often portray the values of the company. So portraying your building with Immune provides the right sort of answers that you are trying to look after your people. The KPIs, we believe that healthy people feeling safe in a comfortable environment improves performance, letting them do what they do well and achieving your KPIs set out. It shows leadership. In this day and age, people are looking to see how the management are helping the employees to lead them through this, and certification to protect the buildings for their health, we believe is very valuable. But not only to the building business leaders, we're looking to the talent. The talent of companies is a prime asset to all companies. And as they look at buildings and where to move, in essence, a safe building, a healthy building is basically part of an interviewing. They're interviewing your building to see how their health matters. This would result in health performance indicators. What has been done to protect me in a safe environment? And these create trust. If they can see that the management is putting in place systems to protect them, it creates a trust between the talent and the leadership. For investors and development, it is quite clearly important that buildings are future-proofed. This time we have seen lots of absentees as people try to work out how to get back to work. So Immune pushes us forward into how the buildings can be future-proofed so we can protect ourselves, the people in those buildings. And again, although I've mentioned it numerous times, it's for all of us. We all want to feel safe. We all want to be in an environment that we feel healthy and is productive. So the final part is, I would like to mention the Immune standard is based on an open source platform. We encourage contributors. Things are being found out about COVID the more and more we move forward. Technologies to fight COVID are being more and more thrust forward, and we welcome collaboration on all of these and to join Genesis on this important concept that has the people's health at its core. Lastly, I would just like to play a short video. Listen to the speaker. Okay, sorry, we're just having a little preparation. I've got a short video to run.
I am your Immune Steward and invite you to the Healthy by Design world of tomorrow. We spend up to 90% of our lives indoors. COVID-19 changed the way we look at our spaces. Some of these changes became already familiar. Others, in plain sight or unseen, are completely new. Welcome to the future of workplace. New amenities and existing ones transformed will be instrumental in enhancing the resilience of office buildings. The Immune Digital Twin Display will tell you the daily improvement of main immunity indicators in your office building and other safety information. The Immune Quarantine Room, a specially designed, fully equipped, and ready-to-use area in case of an immediate need to isolate any infected people. The Emergency Immune Warehouse, contriving a rapid and effective relief logistics system for a pandemic response containing specific protective materials, including PPE. I am responsible to implement and monitor all the Healthy by Design activities, and under the Immune Standard requirement, indoor air will be different. Crowded areas such as meeting rooms, cafeterias, or breakout rooms to be fitted with high-class filters for the intake air. Bathrooms will look and feel different, having ozone water treatment for sinks, round corners in the toilets for proper cleaning, application of washable antibacterial, anti-mold, antivirus paints. Spaces and surfaces will be different. Built-in technologies to enhance the sanitizations of indoor spaces in the prevention of pathogen spreading. Arrange outdoor areas with dedicated occupancy observing physical distances. UV lighting disinfection in the elevators and in the elevator shaft. So when you're back in the office, I'll show you more. It is my job to keep your workplace safe. See you soon.
Gavin, thank you very much. Really appreciate that to bring us to the end of our second day, and congratulations on the work that you and the Genesis team are doing there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us a conclusion for day 2. We've got one more day to go, which again is jam-packed with lots of interesting stuff. We're going to kick off with a session about reinventing the office. We're going to go through the day, including our keynote speech. And we're going to have a little bit of a training session for our friends at Dale Carnegie as well. So lots to do. Have a good evening. Have a good, safe evening. And we'll see you here tomorrow morning. If anybody wants to visit any of the booths, they are still open. So you can click on those and go and look at the expo area. They'll be open for a little while longer. And it leaves me to say thank you to all our speakers today, including your good self, Gavin. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.